Inherited haplogroups. Did you know that we inherit 50% of our DNA from our mother and 50% of our DNA from our father? Join me now at the My History Verified channel to learn more of ancestry and genealogy research. Come journey with me. What are haplogroups? What does mtDNA and Y-DNA haplogroups and markers have in common? What does ethnicity have to do with haplogroups? Haplogroups, family tree, relationships, and lineages. What do they all have in common? Let's go over some haplogroups. Remember, your maternal DNA is your mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, that is passed along from mother to offspring. Paternal DNA is the Y-DNA, and that is passed along from male to male. Ancient DNA would be your ancestral DNA, but it extends backwards nearly 10,000 plus years and possibly, definitely to Genesis. X chromosome DNA would be the DNA and chromosomes that determines your gender. And then we have autosomal DNA. These are some of your chromosome haplogroup markers. In 2010, I personally reviewed a paternity test of a child and a mom and Googled the chromosome markers from the test to determine what the ethnicity of the markers were. I discovered that the mother had passed on to her child both the Mexican, Mayan DNA, and Irish DNA. At this time, no other genetic tests were taken by the mother until 2017, confirming the two ethnicities. This is a family tree giving you a visual display of the maternal line that carries the mtDNA and the paternal line in green that passes along the Y-DNA from male to male. You can see where the two parents start. Maternal will be in red, paternal will be in green, and everything in the red circles would be what the maternal line or the mother passed along to the offsprings. And then on the paternal side, you'll see that there are less highlighted or circled highlighted areas where the chromosomes are passed along only from male to male. Have you ever thought about deja vu? You know those moments where you thought you ventured into that scenery before, where you state, I've been here before, I've actually done this before? Well, parts of our memory is that of our ancestors' memory, and it is what guides us as well. We are our ancestors, and our ancestors live through each of us. It is our ancestors working for us spiritually and in spiritual form and helping to guide us. It is through our ancestors that we are able to use our intuition, use our discernment. We follow our first mind, use our dreams, and we use our inner spirit via our ancestors. If you are a beginner or need ideas to help with your genealogy and ancestry research, I have created a beginner's guide ebook, and you can purchase it at either My History Verified at TikTok. Go ahead to the bio, then click series, or at my personal website, www.myhistoryverified.com. Now let's get to these genomes and phenomes and these chromosomes and haplogroup markers that have helped to create the Amerindian, the indigenous across the world, those African Americans, quote unquote, reclassified, the Caribbeans, the African natives, the Hawaiians, the Polynesians, the Australians, the Canadians, the South Americans, North Americans, Central Americans, the Canary Island indigenous, and in other islands across the world, Europe, and Asia. The human has 46 chromosomes. That is 23 pairs. A pair is 2, so 23 times 2 is 46. Any other species will have a total number of chromosomes different from the human, like an animal or plant life. Remember those parts of the cell that make up your characteristics and traits, full of phenomes and genomes. Our autosome pairs are labeled with numbers 1 through 22 for humans, and they are roughly in order of their sizes in base pairs to help organize what we inherit. I'm just saying, if you're paying attention, don't forget that the mitochondrial DNA, the mtDNA, is inherited exclusively from your mother. The father does not pass along mitochondrial DNA. He has it, but he does not pass it along. Nuclear DNA is passed along by both parents. Haplogroups determine your ethnicity and your lineage. All right, let's go over some of these mtDNA haplogroups. The first one is L1, L2, L3, M, C, Z, D, G, E, Q, N, I, W, A, X, Y, R, B, F, H, V, H, V, P, J, T, U, and K. Okay, let's go over the Y DNA haplogroups. A, B, C, D, E, lowercase x, E, 3, lowercase b, E, 3, B, F, N, O, P, Q, R, lowercase x, R, 1, R, A, G, H, I, J, K, L, and M. What you see here is a chromosome marker browser. Each one of these stacks of DNA, each color is a marker. It is a genome or a phenome that has been inherited via your DNA. If you count, there will be 46 chromosomes. Each one of those chromosomes have a genome or phenome that was passed along from your ancestor. It will determine hair color, eye color, ethnicity, and it is these markers that I just went over in the haplogroups that would match you to your lineage. So if someone else takes this test, the markers on this test from their DNA sample, whether it's spit, urine, pee, hair, and your DNA sample, they match, they test it, they match it, and then they tell you what markers that determine ethnicity, lineage, based on the haplogroups that we just went over. All right, let's get to these Y-DNA haplogroups. Europe, and you see the numbers. What is that? I1b, I1b2, M26, I1c, J2A1, etc., J2A2, etc., Europe, J2A2, M92, Europe, J2B. All of those markers would determine location and a lot of different other factors, where nationality, ethnicity, race, it can determine skin color. These are your haplogroups. Here is your maternal haplogroups. There are three main groups: L, M, and N. If we start at the top, you'll see it begins with Europe, beginning with the letter H, and any numbers behind it. Europe continues until we get to the Middle East, India, and then below the bold mtDNA haplogroups, you'll see West Africa beginning with the L1b. You continue that over to the next column. East Africa begins with L3D, 1D, and down to the next column. We begin with North Africa, beginning with the capital M, 1A1, and down East Africa. The Middle East begins with the capital T, haplogroup, and down. You see Eurasia there. It jumps back to North Africa, L3E5. The last column top, West Africa, down to the bottom, West Africa. This is your Y-DNA haplogroups in expanded form. Europe, beginning with capital R, 1B1, B1A, and all the way at the bottom to the bottom. And then let's continue with the Y-DNA haplogroup. South Asia or Melanesia, C1, formerly known as CXC3. Then North Asia, C2, Indonesia or South Asia, Europe, the Caucasus, South Asia, Europe or Middle East. And these are the Y-DNA haplogroups passed along by the father. Europe or Middle East, west of Burma in Eurasia, Indonesia, South Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Siberia. We have more of the Y-DNA haplogroups: Middle East, Europe, Siberia, South Asia, R1A1, Anatolia, Southeast Europe, Europe again, Pakistan, India. The Middle East, T, M70, North Africa, E1B1, B1, North Africa, West Africa, and more remember North Africa, West Africa, East Africa, Asia, Africa, Asia, and Nepal. Now, when you are testing, or when you are researching and looking up the haplogroups, there would be a more distinct list of the haplogroups on whichever testing or genetic testing company that you utilize for your sample. Now, if you go outside of on another website or another genetic company or anyone that is scientifically researching or documenting and displaying information regarding the haplogroups, you will be able to know what your haplogroups are. The only way that you can know what your haplogroups are, you have to take some type of genetic testing. And then we continue with West Africa, East Africa, and the Middle East. All right, there is a person named Walter Plecker. He was a physician with the Virginia State Registrar, or what we call the Vital Records, or the Census Department for the state of Virginia. He held this position from 1912 through 1946. Now, that is a very long time. That's almost 34 years to be in the position that he was in. Well, this letter here to the left in this image, he wrote a letter to the government and to all states' heads, meaning physicians, doctors, governors, local government, to attempt to convince them that they should not allow anyone to register as an Indian or white if they said they were, and if they presented with birth certificates and death certificates stating that their parents were and that they were. So you will see that this is how how a group of people are reclassified, specifically the Amerindian, who has been reclassified over 9 times until its final label, African American. This letter is what helped to start and solidify the current issues of poverty, claiming your correct ethnicity, knowing who you are as a whole, because anyone could determine your race that's sat behind that desk and sign those documents or issue those documents. So if you read this letter, you'll see how heinous this decision that he made is. He made this decision in 1943. I think he submitted those letters attempting to block anyone who presented saying that they were Indian or black, trying to get a marriage license, birth certificate, any type of document for their identity. So for those of you who are denying that this happened, here's the letter. For those of you who are denying that blacks are Amerindian, here is the letter. Because all you need is birth certificates to prove it. Now, you'll see currently people presenting those documents, trying to reclaim their identity. Lend a hand by stopping the discrimination and then passing of the information. Remember, Eve is the mother of all living and the source of life, and Adam is the father of mankind. Remember, Eve is the mother of all living and the source of life. And if genetic testing companies have not received and tested saliva samples from all human ethnicities in the world, how then are these companies calculating the results and its percentages, reporting for ethnicities, especially the continent of Africa and the Amerindian tribes of America, reclassified to the African American? Take a look at my YouTube live stream, The Reclassified Aboriginal North and Southeast Coast Indigenous, for a reading of Michael Plecker's letter. Who appears to be affected by this lack of testing samples? I believe the reclassified African American. Where is Africa? And how many times has Africa been mentioned in the Bible? Remember, haplogroup chromosome markers link people to their lineage.
Welcome to our fascinating journey into the world of human genetic ancestry. Today, we'll be exploring the incredible world of chromosome markers, specifically focusing on haplogroups. Chromosome markers, located within our DNA, can reveal so much about our ancient origins and migrations. Haplogroups are like genetic family trees, connecting us to our distant ancestors. By examining specific markers on the Y chromosome for men or mitochondrial DNA for women, scientists can determine our haplogroup. These haplogroups are categorized into branches, each representing a different migration path taken by our ancestors. Let's take a closer look at the most well-known haplogroups: haplogroup A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, and T. Haplogroup R1b, for example, is the most common haplogroup in Western Europe, while haplogroup L1 is predominant in sub-Saharan Africa. By understanding our haplogroup, we can uncover astonishing information about our personal genetic history and connections. Beyond curiosity, haplogroups have practical applications too, aiding in genealogical research and even solving historical mysteries. Research your potential haplogroup by getting a DNA test from a reputable company. Once you receive your results, you'll join a vast community of individuals who share your haplogroup and can provide insights into your heritage. So, whether you're curious about your ancestry or passionate about unraveling the story of humanity, haplogroups offer an exciting path to discovery. The diversity of haplogroups reminds us of the interconnectedness of all people across the globe. So, go ahead, explore your genetic roots, and embrace the remarkable tapestry of human existence. By understanding our past, we can shape a more inclusive and compassionate future. Join us in celebrating the beauty of diversity and the wonders of genetic ancestry. Thank you for joining our journey into the world of chromosome markers and haplogroups. Remember, your genetic heritage is unique, so embrace it and celebrate your extraordinary story. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep cherishing the incredible journey of your DNA.
genetics and the power of Eve. Know your worth. And appreciate and celebrate life.